Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Namita, or should I say welcome back to me to my channel. My name is Namita. I know I've been missing for the longest time. I think it's about 8 to 12 weeks at this point. But then again, you know how the year 2020 has been. I had a lot going on. I really did not find the time to make videos and upload them for you guys. But nevertheless, I appreciate all the comments, all the feedback you left for me while I was gone. I'm responding to as many comments and DMs as possible. But here I am today, and today we're talking about living expenses in College Station. For those of you that don't know, I graduated in May of 2019 with a master's degree from Mays Business School. I have a master's in MIS, and on this channel I talk about my master's life, my work life, and everything else that goes on in between. Before I get started, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. I promise you there are a lot of really cool, fun, helpful videos coming in the coming weeks. And also, I think sometime over the last week I held a couple of Q&A sessions on my Instagram, and it looks like it's been very helpful to you guys. So if you would like to ask a question sometime which I can probably answer right away or make a video in the future, follow me on my Instagram handle. And now let's get started. When it comes to living expenses in any city, the first big factor is your rent. Now, in College Station, Texas, rents are lesser than it is in like the bigger cities and towns around it, simply given the fact that College Station is a really small, pretty college town. And depending on whether you plan on sharing your flat, sharing your room, how many people are going to be there in the house, how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, your rent is going to differ a lot. Like a lot. Okay, now I have been in situations where I have shared my bedroom with a friend, and I've also, for my second year of my master's degree, I had a whole bedroom and an attached bathroom to myself, and then I shared my living space and my kitchen with my flatmate. The cheapest rent will be if you plan to share your bedroom and then the other bedroom also has two housemates of yours. So for example, if it's a 2-bedroom house and there are 4 people, that's what works out to the minimum rent possibility. And then the second rent, which is slightly higher, if there is 1 person in one room and there are 2 people in the other room. And then the third option is where there is 1 person each in 2 of the bedrooms, or maybe 3 people in 3 bedrooms and so on. And then the final option is you getting a whole apartment to yourself. Now in my experience, I have not seen many students opting to completely live by themselves, but having a private room to yourself is not a bad idea, and I wish I had done that in my first year of my master's degree. Well, it was wonderful having roommates, but also I think it comes with its own list of pros and cons. If you plan on having a roommate and then 2 flatmates, you can expect your rent to be somewhere between $180 and $200 and up to $300. Now this number is a very big variable depending on what the location is, what apartments you're going to be staying in, what are the utilities like, and so on and so forth. And if you plan to have 2 housemates and a whole room to yourself, again you're looking at a number somewhere about 300 but probably less than 400. And then if you plan to have a private room to yourself, now that can start at around probably 400 to 450 and go upwards from there. The upwards really, as far as I know, can go up to 800 sometimes, including utilities, any kind of internet packages that come with it. For me, it was somewhere about $600, I think. Yeah, but then again, I chose to stay in a furnished apartment, and I had a lot of amenities going on. I had printing rooms, I had a gym, and I really liked the place that I was staying in for my second year, so I was okay paying that kind of rent. So once you figure out what is your living arrangement going to look like, you can reach a good number on your rent. So with that said, the minimum will be somewhere around 180 to 200, and then above from there to about whatever money you want to spend on it. So that covers our rent. Now that we have covered rent, let's talk about utilities. Now for utilities, you will be paying for these services. It can be your electricity, your water bill, your internet, and your phone bill, and if there is any phone contract that goes with it. Now electricity is the biggest variable out of all these, because when it comes to water, it's usually standard bill to have between $20 and $30 per household of about 4 people. And then there is your internet bill, which again, if it's not included in the rent, it comes down to about $15 to $20 or maybe $30 per person in a house of 4 people. And again, in some apartments, water and internet can be included in your rent. Okay, that either you can negotiate it or you can simply find a place that offers that to you. Once those two things are covered, now let's talk about electricity. Electricity bill, I think in my experience, because now I live in the northeastern part, I am very close to New York City, my bills are 100% dependent on how much cooling or how much heater that I'm using. Now that I'm in the colder months and I'm the kind of person that gets cold very easily, my heater runs almost all day long depending on how cold it is outside. And then if it's summer and it's really hot outside, then of course I turn on my AC. The same thing applies in Texas as well. Texas by default does not get as cold as it does in the northeastern areas here, but again it gets cold in the winter. If not too cold, enough cold. So depending on how you and your housemates plan on keeping the heater running or the AC running or whatever the necessity will be like, your electricity bill might vary somewhere between a minimum of $60 to $70 per month and sometimes go up to $150 to $180 and even $200 in the colder months, depending on how old the appliance might be, how old the apartment itself might be, and so on. Let's say it comes down to about $120 on an average, and if there's 4 people in the house, then the per person cost is $30, which is not bad for electricity. Okay, so we have covered electricity, water, internet, and then the phone bill. So phone plans are a standard. It's very standard practice for a group of friends to get together and get a family plan. More the people in the family, less it is per line. So I have usually paid about $30 ever since I got here for my phone pack. And to make calls internationally, for me, when I call home, I use Google Voice. I find it has better clarity, and of course there is WhatsApp and Facebook and whatnot. Then again, your phone bill can be higher than $30 if you sign up for any contract. I got my iPhone on contract when I got here. It was for 2 years interest free, so I paid an additional $30 every month for that as well. So that came down to about $60. I hope that gave you a good idea about the utility. Now moving on to the next big expense, that's your groceries. Now guys, you need to keep this in mind when you take grocery advice from me. I am a very simple eating vegetarian and I come from the southern parts of India. I'm from Bangalore, where rice is a staple. So for me, my expenses, my weekly grocery is just like veggies and maybe some junk food like chips, and then probably sometimes maybe chocolates, and then there is like almond milk, because my eating habits are very simple. So I honestly don't have an idea about how much meat and eggs cost. I'm not adding that here. So just to spare you all the trouble of having to do the math yourself, I'm going to leave the link to HEB. Now if you're going to be in Texas, HEB is going to be your place of worship because it's the most amazing grocery chain. I love that place. I miss that place. So you can take a look at the website. Of course, the website prices are going to be slightly higher than what it will be in store, and the total bill will have some tax added to it as well. Okay, so with that said, the grocery bill for me has averaged about $20 for 10 days, keeping aside my staples, because when I order my staples, they're always in bulk, right? Like when I order rice, I order any kind of dal, I order any kind of atta that comes from Indian stores, and I get them in bulk. Like if I get a 20-pound bag of rice, it will last me for easily 3 to 6 months depending on how I'm eating. So yeah, even when you're a student, it highly depends on how you plan on sharing food with roommates. Now if you're going to be with roommates who kind of share the same kind of food palette like you do, then you can probably buy the bulk items together and then buy whatever individual needs like cereal, like breakfast bagels and so on as you need. Or if you're going to be with the kind of roommates who will cook for themselves, then you can simply focus on what it is that you want. I personally, I have been in both situations again. In my first year, I was sharing my apartment with a bunch of my friends from the southern parts of India, from my own city. So we had very similar food habits. So I would share all the bulk items, and then we would just buy whatever little things we wanted for ourselves. And in my second year, my roommate was an American. Of course, Indian food was not her biggest choice always. She loved Indian food, so I would always make some for her when I cooked for myself, but we never really shared food as such. She had her own grocery and I had my own grocery. So that will help you understand the groceries, I hope. Also, I have not counted in any kind of additional things, like if you're a party person, I've not included money for alcohol, I've not included the cost of any kind of party supplies. So the link below in the description box should really help you. This is not a sponsored advertisement for HEB. I just really love them so much and I miss, I think, HEB a lot. Okay, so we have covered rent and utilities and we have covered groceries. The next big thing will be miscellaneous. Now this is the kind of thing that's a bit of a choice for you. So for me, I'm the kind of person that walks a lot. I love getting in my steps throughout the day. So I never really spent a lot of money on Uber or Lyft unless the place was very far or it was bad weather or I was just plain lazy. So in College Station, the best thing is there are buses that connect you from everywhere to everywhere. You can even make connection points between two buses and pretty much get anywhere. So I used to use buses all the time. They're free for students. And also bikes are available, your ride sharing bikes are available, so you can take them as well. And it comes to miscellaneous, this can be money for your commute, it can be money that you spend on, say, sales, shopping. That's entirely up to you how much you spend. Of course, the road trips, there is Houston, there is Austin, there's Dallas, there is San Antonio. It all comes down to how you plan on making your money work for you. Okay, so these are your major expenses. Now let's summarize. So you have your rent. You can go anywhere between 180 to 200 and upwards depending on what you choose to live like. The second thing would be your utilities, averaging to about $30 of electricity, maybe $10 of your water bill. I'm just making high estimates, right? That's 40, and then an internet plan of about 20, that's 60, a phone of about 60. I'm keeping the higher end, so 40 plus 60 is about 100. Actually, no, 60 plus is about 120, yeah. So 100 to 120 on your utilities. And then you have your groceries. I'm going to put 100 to 150, where 150 might be a little too much and 100 might be a good average for your groceries. And then the miscellaneous, again, it's up to you. I would keep aside about $100, maybe, depending on what your expenditure looks like. Oh, and one last thing before I end this video, the best information for you in regards to living cost will be your immediate batchmates, like the ones that have just graduated just before you or are just going to graduate the following year. Because when you take advice from the internet, including website reviews and Yelp reviews, they are probably old and they might not be as relevant. And also, talking to these people, you will be able to know if there is any discount going on, any promos going on, because usually apartments tend to have promos where they will not have security deposit, or they might be giving you 2 months rent for free and so on. So make sure that you get in touch with as many people as you can. We are at the end of the video. Let me know if I answered all your questions about living cost. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Next week we'll talk about how to compare different universities. Now, one of the big questions I always get is, how is this university versus that university? And I've told many times, the best judge of a university is somebody who has studied there. But I'm going to give you the tools which you can use to compare different universities and try to understand if it's the right choice for you. Let me know again if you have questions about those, so I can include them in the video as well. Again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Let me know what you think of this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.